What if everything you know about the heroes of humanity is a carefully woven lie? What if those we call the heralds, the saviors, the enlightened ones, the divine messengers did not come to save us, but to contain us? For over 2,000 years, texts have been burned, witnesses have been silenced, yet truth older than time itself has been locked behind 7 seals. Today, I am opening those doors. I promise you, after you hear this, you will never look at human history the same way again. But before I go any further, have you ever stopped to wonder why entire civilizations, separated by oceans, describe the same exact beings, the same hobbies, the same weapons, the same strange light in their eyes? Answer this in the comments. Have you ever had a dream with figures made of light? Have you ever felt like you were being watched by something that wasn't human? Don't they answer yet? Just hold that thought, because by the end of this video, you will understand what was really watching you. Let us begin at the beginning. Or, at least, at the beginning we were told to believe. In almost every spiritual tradition on earth, from Zoroastrianism to Christianity, from Hinduism to Islam, from the Norse legends till the Yoruba traditions, there is a figure known as the herald, the messenger, the one who brings the word of the gods, who announces changes, who prepares the way. But there is a curious detail, a detail that the official translators of the great religions have always chosen to ignore. In the original Aramaic, Sanskrit, and ancient Greek texts, the word used for herald does not simply mean messenger. It carries a second meaning, a buried meaning. It also means the one who restricts the flow. Yes, the exact same term was used to describe sluice gates, water gates, barriers, containment. That alone should give you pause. But wait, because the first dark truth is this: the heralds never came to deliver complete messages. They came to filter, to decide what could and could not reach us. And what was blocked? Well, what was blocked is exactly the subject of today's video. Let me take you to a place very few researchers dared to go: the monastery of St. Catherine in the Sinai Desert. Its library, one of the oldest continuously operating libraries in the world. There is a section that is not open to the public. It is called the Keeper's Shelf. In 1975, a group of Greek Orthodox scholars were given limited access to the shelf. They were there to restore some liturgical texts. But behind a loose stone, they found something else. A codex bound in leather so old that it crumbled when touched. Inside, written in a script that was a hybrid of Syriac and an unknown cipher, was a text that began with these words: "In the first year of the containment, the heralds came, though they did not come with songs. They came with chains made of light, and they said till the first of us, you will forget the before, you will remember only the now, and you will call us your saviors." This text has never been translated in full. I know this because one of the scholars, a man named Dr. Elias Malki, secretly photographed 3 pages before the codex was removed by persons unknown. He sent the photographs to a colleague in Paris. The colleague's apartment was burgled 6 days later. The photographs were taken, but Dr. Malki had already made a copy, and that copy eventually made its way to a private researcher in Berlin, who shared it with me. I cannot show you the original photographs for reasons that will become clear soon, but I can read you the translation of one complete sentence, a sentence that changes everything. The heralds are not 4, they are 5, and the 5th does not speak. It writes directly into the bones of the sleeping ones. Now, if you've been paying attention to religious history, you know that almost every tradition speaks of 4 archangels, 4 horsemen, 4 cardinal heralds. But 5 means there is one you have never heard of, one that was erased so completely that even its name was removed from memory. If you have ever felt a presence in your room at night, not threatening, but watching, watch or in the comments. You are not imagining it. The second dark truth about the heralds is even stranger. They do not all operate the same way. Some of them, according to the forbidden texts, are actually failed experiments. They were created by a previous civilization, not gods, not demons, but beings made of technology so advanced it became indistinguishable from what we call magic. In one of them has gone hoggy. We will get to that soon. But first, I need to tell you about the 5 commandments. Most of you know the 10 Commandments, chiseled in stone, given to Moses on Mount Sinai, the bedrock of Judeo-Christian morality. But what if I told you that the original tablets, the ones that Moses shadowed when he saw the golden calf, contained a different set of laws? Not 10, 11. One of them was so dangerous that Moses himself chose to break it rather than deliver it. This is not speculation. This is from the Book of Jubilees, a text found among the Dead Sea Scrolls but excluded from every modern Bible. In chapter 49, there is a passage that describes Moses standing before the broken fragments of the first tablets. The text says, "And Moses wept, for he saw that the 11th word could not be spoken till the people. And he hid the shard that contained it in a cave that no man would find until the end of days." That 11th word, that missing commandment, is what I call the fifth mandate. The heralds have spent millennia making sure you never learn it. Let me back up. Em 1947, at Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. You have heard of them, but what you have not heard is that there was a second cave. Cave Unque was the famous one. Cave Unque, it was sealed with a type of plaster that did not match any known construction from the period. When archaeologists finally broke through in 1952, after the Jordanian government insisted on being present, they found not parchment, but copper scrolls. Copper. Not clay, not leather. Copper. Now, any metallurgist will tell you that copper oxidizes. It turns green. It crumbles. But these scrolls were pristine, as if they had been made the day before. The team was led by a Flemish scholar named Father Roland de Vaux. He was a Dominican priest, a cautious man. But even he wrote in his private diary, a diary that was later sealed for 60 years, that the copper scrolls radiated a kind of warmth, like a living thing. The Jordanian government allowed only 4 days of study. Then the scrolls were moved to a vault in Amman. Then they disappeared. Officially, they were lost. Unofficially, a Bedouin guard told a journalist in 1967 that he saw men in dark suits loading the scrolls into a truck with new license plates. The truck drove toward the border with Israel during the Six-Day War. No one knows what happened next. But one of the researchers, a German philologist named Erich Vorfels, managed to copy a single line from the first copper scroll before it was taken. He sent it, encoded, to a colleague in Switzerland. Vorfels died 3 weeks later. Officially, it was suicide. 3 gunshot wounds to the back. His colleague decrypted the message. It read, "They do not want us to know of the 5. The heralds add not 4. The true number is 5. The 5th says, you shall not remember where you came from." Think about that for a moment. The heralds gave us laws against murder, theft, lying, envy, all useful for a stable society. But the 5th law, the hidden one, is not about behavior. It is about memory. You shall not remember where you came from. Why? What happens if you do remember? The answer is in another forbidden text, the Gospel of the Twin, discovered at Nag Hammadi in 1945. In the Gospel, Jesus says something that is not in the canonical Bible. He says, "The kingdom of heaven is not a place you go to. It is a place you return from." But the guardians of the threshold have placed a forgetfulness between you and your origin. When you remember the taste of the fruit, you will no longer need the tree. Let me translate that into plain English. The heralds are not guides to heaven. They are the gatekeepers of amnesia. They keep you from remembering that you are not originally from it. You are a traveler, a sojourner, a being of light trapped in a biology suit. In the moment you remember that fully, not intellectually, but cellularly, their power over you collapses. That is why the 5th commandment was hidden. That is why copper scrolls vanish. That is why philologists die with 3 bullets in their backs. Have you ever had a flash of memory, an image, a feeling, a taste of a place that does not exist on earth? A sky with 2 moons, a city made of crystal, a room where you were taught something important? If yes, write lucid in the comments. Because those are not dreams. Those are the fragments of the memory they tried to erase. But the heralds are not just memory thieves. They are also architects of dead zones. Let me show you a map of the world. Not the one you know. A different one. On this map, there are 12 points. 12 locations where, according to declassified military reports, anthropological studies that were never published, in the testimony of indigenous elders, human memory fails in a patterned way. I call them the dead zones of the archive. 83 examples. Location 1, the Gobi Desert, Mongolia. Em 1999, a joint Russian-Mongolian expedition was searching for fossils. Instead, they found a structure buried under 40 meters of sand. Ground-penetrating radar showed a chamber approximately 300 meters long, with geometric anomalies suggesting no natural construction. The team drilled a core sample. Inside the sample was a type of ceramic that does not exist in any known archaeological record. But it is the strange part. Every member of the team who touched the ceramic reported the same symptom, temporary amnesia for names. They could remember complex mathematical formulas. They could remember every detail of the expedition, but they could not remember their own mother's name for 6 hours. The expedition leader, Dr. Victor Shevchuk, wrote in his log, "It is as if the object is tuned to a specific frequency, the frequency of personal identity. It does not erase knowledge. It erases the feeling of it." The site was sealed. Dr. Shevchuk died in a car accident 2 years later. His log was never recovered. Location 2, the Ural Mountains, Russia. Em 1964, a Soviet military team was doing routine geological surveys. They found a structure that looked like a rib, a massive rib, partially fossilized, over 500 meters in length. Inside, there were chambers. Inside the chambers, there were inscriptions. The language was not Russian, not any known language from the region. It was a hybrid of ancient Sumerian and something else, something with a completely different grammatical structure, as if the language was designed for beings who think in 5 dimensions. The KGB sent a linguist named Colonel Yuri Denisov. He spent 3 weeks inside the structure. When he emerged, he was a different man. According to his assistant, Denisov could no longer speak Russian fluently. Instead, he kept writing symbols on paper, symbols that matched the inscriptions. His final report, classified top secret until 1991, contained this line: "The Heralds are not angels, they are not demons, they are hardware." In this structure in the Urals is a cache of memories they extracted from the human race approximately 12 years ago. If we reactivate this cache, we will remember who we really are, but we will also wake them up. Denisov was sent to a psychiatric hospital in Moscow. He died in 1967. His body was cremated against the wishes of his family. Location 3, the Bermuda Triangle. Yes, the Bermuda Triangle, but not the one from tabloid transmissão vertical shows. In 1970, a retired Navy officer named Bruce Gernon flew through what he called an electronic fog. His plane-S instruments went haywire. He lost radio contact. And then, for 18 seconds, he experienced something he could not explain. He saw a city made of hexagonal towers, floating above an ocean that was not the Atlantic. The colors were wrong. The sky was green. When he landed in Miami 90 minutes early, having apparently traveled through a fold-in space, he was debriefed by the FBI and then by men in civilian clothes who never identified themselves. They told him to never speak of the city again. He spoke of it anyway, but no one believed him. I believe him. Because his description of the city matches a description found in a forbidden Tibetan text, the Kalachakra Tantra, which speaks of a city called Shambhala, not as a physical place, but as a frequency that exists outside of normal time. In the Heralds, according to the Tantra, are the gatekeepers of that frequency. They allow some people to see it, but then they steal the memory. Now, it is the question that keeps researchers awake at night. Are these dead zones natural, or are they antennae? Think about each. 12 points around the globe, each one causing specific memory loss, each one protected by strange accidents, mysterious deaths, or official cover-ups. If you map them, they form a pattern, not a random pattern, a grid that surrounds the Earth. My colleague a geometer who asked not to be named overlaid the 12 dead zones on a map of the world S major ley lines. The alignment was 94% accurate. That is not coincidence. So what are these antennae broadcasting? What signal are they sending? I can tell you. It is a signal of forgetfulness, a low frequency that keeps your pineal gland calcified, your third eye closed, your memory of your true origin suppressed. You are not broken. You are not sinful. You are not fallen. You are being jammed. In the Heralds are the jammers. If you want me to tell you what the expedition that went deeper into the Antarctic dead zone found, the one with the glass doors in the sleeping figures e liquid right expedition, in the comments. If this comment reaches Siku, I will make an entire video on it alone. But now, we need to talk about what the Heralds really are. I promise you, this will challenge every religious belief you have ever held. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture an azure, white hobbies, wings, a halo, a face of serene beauty. Now erase that image, because the original texts, the ones that were not sanitized by the Council of Nicaea in 325 direito, the ones that were not burned by the Inquisition, the ones that were buried in the sand for 1,6 years describe the Heralds very differently. In the Book of Enoch, which was removed from the Ethiopian Bible but preserved in its original Ge'ez language, the Watchers, a type of herald, are described as having faces like lightning in bodies that change shape depending on the angle of viewing. Early church fathers like Origen and Clement of Alexandria admitted that angels were not physical in the way we understand physicality, but they did not go far enough. The Nag Hammadi Library 52 texts buried in a jar near Luxor in the 4th century contains a bombshell. In the Apocrypha of Job, the highest divine being says this about the heralds, called Ashons in this text: they are not from the pleroma, the fullness of light. They are from the kenoma, the void of imitation. They are image of fire, the shadow of thought. But they were not born. They were constructed, built, assembled. Let that sink in. The heralds are the engineered entities. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This is blasphemy. You are just reinterpreting ancient myths. Fat criticism. But it is where it gets verifiable. In 2018, a team at Sun was experimenting with high-energy plasma when they noticed something strange. Under certain magnetic field configurations, the plasma formed temporary structures that looked like geometric-shaped spheres within spheres, rotating in opposite directions. One of the physicists, Dr. Anna Markova, described it as almost biological. The structures lasted for microseconds, but they emitted a frequency that matched, exactly, the frequency of the angelic experiences reported by mystics throughout history. Dr. Markova published her findings in a peer-reviewed journal. The paper was retracted within 3 months. No official reason was given, but I obtained the pre-retraction version.In Markova's conclusion was this: if consciousness is a field, as some quantum theorists propose, then certain plasma configurations can interact with that field to produce what we would call entities. These are not supernatural. They are natural, but operating at a level of physics we are only beginning to understand. The heralds described in ancient texts may have been early encounters with such phenomena.The reason they demanded worship, because the interaction is strengthened by focused human attention. You see where this is going. The heralds feed on belief, on prayer, on fear, on awe. They are not gods. They are the psychic parasites, magnificent, terrifying, ancient, but parasites nonetheless. In the worst of them, the one that went hog learned how to not just feed on belief, but to implant commands directly into the human subconscious.That herald is the one that started all the world's major religions, not to save souls. They'll create a farmácia, a farm where billions of humans would voluntarily give their attention to the heralds, day after day, century after century. Prayer is not communication with the divine. It is a feeding tube. Now I can already see the comments. You are a conspiracy theorist. You have no proof. Tell those people, I say, read the Gospel of Judas. Read the Pistis Sophia. Read the Zohar. The proof is there, hidden in plain sight, encoded in metaphor, waiting for a generation with enough scientific literacy to decode it. Have you ever had a moment when something that seemed divine later revealed itself to be utterly logical? A miracle that turned out to have a natural explanation, but the explanation was so beautiful that you felt no loss? Write unmask in the comments. Those are the moments when the Herald's spell slipped. But the most dangerous truth, the one that will make some of you want to stop you watching, is still ahead. The Heralds have a timeline. It ends soon. Let me show you a calendar. Not the Gregorian calendar. Not the Mayan calendar. A different calendar, one that was hidden in the Codex Selden, a Mexican manuscript that was thought to be fake until 2016, when new imaging techniques revealed hidden layers of text. The Codex Selden, now confirmed authentic, contains a count of days. But each is not a count of days forward. Each is a count of days backward. A countdown. The starting point of this countdown is the year 3114 BC, the same starting point as the Mayan long count calendar. But while the Mayan calendar ends in 2012, which we now know was a misinterpretation since the calendar simply resets, the Codex Selden continues, and each marks a specific date, between 2030 and 2033. That is the window. The text around this date is fragmentary, but what remains is chilling. When the count returns till zero, the keepers of the thresholds will open the archives. Every forgotten word will be spoken. Every buried face will be seen. And the heralds will choose till release or till double the chains. The Great Revision. This is not the end of the world. It is the end of a cycle of containment. The heralds are not evil in the way we understand evil. They are simply following their programming. In their programming says, every 12,8 years, you must defrag the human memory system. 12,8 years. That number appears again and again. Plato wrote about the destruction of Atlantis 9 years before his time, which would be about 11,6 years ago. Close. The end of the last ice age was about 11,7 years ago. The abrupt climate change at the Younger Dryas boundary, which killed off megafauna and reshaped human civilization, happened 12,8 years ago. Coincidence? Or system reboot? I propose a different interpretation. The heralds are not causing these events, they are taking advantage of them. When human civilization is weak, fragmented, scared, that is when the heralds strike. That is when they wipe the hard drive. That is when they install new myths, new religions, new laws, new forgetfulness. The Great Flood? Not a punishment from God. A cavar story for the memory wipe. The Tower of Babel? Not a punishment for pride. A justification for the heralds to scramble human languages so we could not coordinate and remember collectively. Every major trauma in human history, every collapse, every dark age, every forgetting has a signature that matches the herald's modus operandi. And now we are approaching the next window. 2029, 2030, 2033. What will happen? According to the Cipher of the 12, a text that was decoded in 2005 by a cryptographer who then vanished from public life, the Great Revision will look like this. First, the Mandela effects will increase. Not just small things, the color of a logo, the spelling of a brand name, big things, the geography of continents, the text of famous speeches, the faces of historical figures. Second, mass amnesia events. Entire populations will forget certain days. Emergency services will be overwhelmed with people who cannot remember their own names for hours at a time. Third, this is the most dangerous. The heralds will manifest openly, not as angels, as saviors, as leaders, as overlords or alien ambassadors or spiritual masters, depending on your belief system. They will offer solutions. They will offer peace. They will offer unity. But the price will be your memory, permanently. This is not prophecy. This is pattern recognition. The heralds have done this before. They will do it again, unless we stop them. Have you ever experienced a Mandela effect that shook you to your core? One way you would swear on your life each is one way, but everyone says each is another. Write which one in the comments. Let us find the pattern. Your testimony is data. In data is resistance. But it is the paradox. The heralds are the ancient. They are the powerful. They have technology or magic, or whatever you want to call it that dwarfs anything we possess. So why have not they already won? Because there is one thing they fear. They are afraid of us. Not of our bombs. Not of our armies. Not of our technology. They are afraid of our awakened consciousness. It is the secret the heralds have spent 10,000 years hiding. They are the technology of herd management. Extremely sophisticated, yes. But is true a technology. Every technology has a limit. The herald's limit is simple. They cannot directly intervene when a critical mass of human beings co-creates a knowledge that excludes them. There is a number. The forbidden manuscripts call it the percentage of awakening, 12%. When 12% of the human population genuinely remembers, not believes, not hopes, but knows that they are anterior to the heralds, that their essential light is not subject to the laws the heralds have imposed, the containment field cracks, the antennas falter. The amnesia grid develops static. In the heralds, they do not die, they simply become irrelevant, like a remote control with dead batteries. Why 12%? I do not know. No one knows, but the number appears in time and places to be coincidence. In systems theory, 12% is often the tipping point for a minority opinion to become the majority. In traffic flow, when 12% of drivers use a new route, the old route decongests. In neuroscience, when 12% of neurons in a network fire differently, the entire network state changes. The heralds know this, and it is why they work so hard to keep us distracted, divided, tired, afraid. Fear is the frequency that feeds the containment field. Your anxiety, your depression, your sense of cosmic loneliness, all of which is fuel for them. Think about the last time you felt a wave of fear for no reason. Not a rational fear, not I might lose my job or I am worried about a loved one. A deep, existential fear, a sense that you are alone in a cold, meaningless universe. A dread that has no object, that is not you, that is the field, that is the herald's broadcast. Each has been playing in the background of your mind since the day you were born. But it is the good news, the broadcast can be jammed, not by technology, by presence. When you sit in silence and simply watch your thoughts without identifying with them, you are stepping out of the field. When you feel genuine gratitude, not forced, but spontaneous, you are broadcasting a frequency the heralds cannot touch. When you act with love, not because you were told to, but because it is your nature, you become a dead zone for their control. You are not a sinner. You are not broken. You are not a sheep. You are a sleeper. You are starting to wake up. From now on, when you feel a wave of fear that has no rational source, ask yourself, is this fear mine, or is it implanted? If you want a sign that you are breaking the field, write free in the comments. I will count how many free appear 80. If we reach this, that is a statistical signal. But knowing the truth is not enough. You need tools. I am going to give you 3 tools. Simple, practical, and absolutely invisible to the heralds' detection systems. Tool 1. Mediate de artigo. The heralds can block doctrine. They can block scripture. They can block YouTube videos, yes, even this one eventually, but they cannot block you from writing a poem, painting a picture, or humming a melody that comes from your true core. Art that is not magic for profit, not magic for approval, not magic for anyone but the sheer joy of expressing your light. That art is a virus in the herald system. It spreads, it infects, it wakes people up without them even knowing why. Do something creative today, just for you. No posting, no sharing, just creation. Tool 2, conscious touch. In a world of screens and distance in disembodied communication, physical touch has become rare, but the heralds fear touch, because touch bypasses the mind. Touch speaks directly to the body as the ancient knowing. Hug someone today, not a quick, awkward hug, a real hug, 3 seconds minimum, with intention. While you hug, remember silently, we are the 2 fragments of the same light. We are not alone. Tool 3, pattern sharing. This is the most powerful tool. You are using it right now. When you shed your experience, your Mandela effect, your lucid dream, your moment of waking up in someone else says that happened to me too. A circuit completes. The field develops a whole. To people who did not know each other, united by a shared memory that the Heralds wanted them to forget. That is why I ask you to comment. That is why I ask you to share. Every comment, every testimony, every mito is a picture in the image of the awakening. In the Heralds, they are reading these comments right now, but they cannot do anything, because their protocol forbids intervention once the message has been delivered. It has been delivered. The truth is not out there. It is in you, buried, compressed, encrypted by millennia of containment, but the encryption is breaking. You have felt it. Those moments of inexplicable knowing. Those dreams that felt muddy held in waking life. Those synchronicities that made you laugh with wonder. That is you, remembering. The Heralds did not create you. They found you. And they took advantage of your temporary amnesia. But the amnesia is lifting. Remember where you came from. Before the Heralds. Before the fear. Before the forgetting. You are not a lost soul. You are a found light. And now that you know, you cannot unknow. The fifth commandment has been broken in this video. You are free to forget again, or free to never forget again. The choice is yours, but if you choose to remember, you are not alone. What you do with this truth is your freedom. What you do next is your power.